Attention,
The
listeners
sun's out,
across the
bums
galaxy,
are out,
all the
and
way
hopefully
from
your pubes are
Australia
not
to
out.
Houston. Do
Also,
we have a
flip-flop
puke
season is
problem?
upon us,
If so,
and you're
our
out here
friends
with
at
those
Manscaped have
post-pandemic
cleared you for
toenails.
takeoff with their fourth
Don't worry,
generation
our friends at
brand new
Manscaped
Lawnmower
have you
4.0.
covered.
Kick your
They
pubes
just
to the
launched their
next
4th
planet
generation
with the
performance package and their
4.0.
shears
The
2.0
orbits in
nail
your
grooming
pants will
kit.
feel like you're
Join
in zero
Manscaped
gravity
movement
when you
by going to
use the best tools for the
manscaped.com for
job
20%
from
off
leaders in
and
male
free shipping
grooming.
using promo
Join
code
2 million
DTR.
men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com/DTR for 20% off and free shipping.
Stafford under pressure, going to tuck it, and he's in. Darrell Henderson, he's off and running. As Woods, touchdown. Cooper Kupp just went up and took it away. Van Jefferson for the touchdown. Aaron Donald smothers him. Jalen Ramsey with the pop-up. Sacked by Leonard Floyd, having a day again. Darius Williams with a diving hit. Jordan Fuller comes up with his second interception of the night.
Welcome back, guys, to the Downtown Rams podcast. This is episode 367. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen, and unable to join me this time is Alexis Kraft, but she'll likely be back next time. Now, this episode is entirely brought to you by you, the audience. This is the DTR Pod Mailbag episode. We're going to try to do one of these a week, whether it comes from Discord, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We will receive your comment, question, concern, and we will address it. So, I'm doing this one. I did the last one. Hopefully we can bring this, keep this going with Alexis. But let's get right into it. And before we go into that, just a quick word from our sponsors over at BetUS.com. Hey guys, with sports betting season in full force, NHL, NBA playoffs, and football fast approaching, you need a sportsbook with integrity and longevity like BetUS. You may already know this, but BetUS has been pioneers in the sportsbook industry for almost 3 decades, thriving and paying their loyal customer base. That is BetUS.com, and they have loads of bonuses. Join now or call 800-69-BET-US. That is 800-MYBET-US. You receive 125% sign-up bonus by using bonus code RAMS125. They have re-up and referral bonuses as well. BetUS is known as America's favorite sportsbook for a lot of reasons. BetUS has all your NBA, NHL, with team and player props and loads of NFL futures and NFL odds up already. You can bet UFC matches and props, PGA golf, in-round matchups, as well as live betting on most sports, including golf. The online casino has hundreds of games, and the racebook has all your horse tracks. They have every bet type imaginable, and the Sharp Bet US mobile platform is easy with full betting options. Follow my lead and get your phone, online, and social sports betting partner with integrity and longevity like I did. BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS. So once again, that code is RAMS125 for 125% sign-up bonus today. Our listeners will receive that. All right, so we're going to get right into the mailbag here with the first question coming from Hypnotized Werewolf on our Discord, also known as It's Aiden Too Cool on my YouTube account. Appreciate you, Aiden. Who is a person on the Rams that should be in the Hall of Fame but isn't? This is a great question because, well, there are a ton of players that I would say belong in the Hall of Fame that aren't. We could go all day on it. Roman Gabriel comes to mind, Torrey Holt, just plenty of guys, right? Well, I am going to say one guy in particular that probably doesn't get enough credit, and I honestly don't think he gets as much credit as, say, Roman Gabriel as far as trying to get him in the Hall of Fame, and that is Henry Ellard, who retired as the second all-time leading receiver. He's obviously not in second anymore, but I don't know if not now when will this guy get in, because unfortunately it looks like there's about to be a logjam of wide receivers, and I feel like it's time to get Henry Ellard in, who was deserving, and there's constantly players like, say, Michael Irvin that didn't have the best stats ever, and Andre Reed, who got in before Isaac Bruce, for instance. I mean, they're just, I don't know. There's some guys that I don't know if necessarily they should have gone in as quick as they did, like, say, Terrell Davis. But I definitely think that, to answer your question, Aiden, a person that should be in the Hall of Fame that isn't former Ram is going to be Henry Ellard here, but it could apply to Roman Gabriel and especially Torrey Holt. Moving on, Brian Allen Skeptic on the Discord here. Will Corella, how we doing? He asks, how many carries do you think Tutu gets this year? Now, this is an interesting question, mainly because, Tutu Atwell is a running back, he's not a running back. He's a wide receiver. And I've actually raised the question how many carries he will get myself. So I'm kind of with you on that. Now, what do I think? That is the question in regards to this. I think Tutu Atwell could see 20 to 30 carries at minimum, to be honest with you. With the loss of Cam Akers, I think it does allow the Rams to get a little bit more creative with the running backs, what they do in the run game. Not a ton of experience from Xavier Jones, so maybe, to kind of keep him away from having too many touches, you could use a guy like Tutu Atwell. And on top of that, I have been saying over and over again, I feel like Atwell the whole time was more of a guy that down the road, he's going to have a, significant impact on their offense. And right now, Deshaun Jackson is just kind of in his way. But make no mistake about it, if the Rams have an opportunity to get him comfortable and use him, I think they will. So for those of you who are wondering, I actually did a video on my YouTube channel predicting all of these stats. Before Cam Akers got hurt, I had Tutu Atwell at 33 carries for 215 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, which is a 6.5 yards per carry average. And, to me, I don't think that's really that far off. I mean, you're going to have Robert Woods, of course, in the run game. He's great. He's one of the best as far as rushing wide receivers. He might be the best. So, yeah, I mean, I think, I'm going to stick with 33. It might have been a little too high with Akers. Without him, I definitely don't think it's too high. Maybe he gets to 40. But, Will, I hope that answers your question. I'm going to say right now 33 carries for Tutu Atwell in 2021. Shot by Nolan, he asks on Discord, based off camp observations, are Bobby Evans and Bryson Hopkins skating on thin ice? This is also a great question. Bobby Evans went from being a starting right guard coming into the year to now, I don't know if he's going to make the team. I know it sounds crazy, but it just seems to me like he's losing momentum every single day, it seems. And it doesn't help, the last time you saw him in action, he was getting absolutely baptized by the defense of the Green Bay Packers. And he was getting Jared Goff hurt. And Cam Akers blown up in the backfield. So, we fast forward here. He had the opportunity. He was the starting right guard projected. And now the move with Brian Allen at center and Corbett now at right guard has changed things. And to see Bobby Evans playing in that preseason game as much as he has when guys like Noteboom weren't even playing, it does speak a lot. And I think it says that he's playing to keep his job. And furthermore, I would say, according to Jordan Rodriguez today, and we're, covering this on a Thursday, basically, it sounds to me like Tremaine Ankrum is doing a damn good job. And I think that further points to the fact that Tremaine Ankrum is probably the competition for Bobby Evans. Now, Tremaine Ankrum, for those of you who don't know, could play all 5 positions. And if he could play right guard better than Bobby Evans and right tackle better than Bobby Evans, then Bobby Evans is just a guy, and the potential is kind of gone at that point. So it's going to be interesting with him. I'm glad you brought him up, Nolan. Definitely an interesting one. And then Bryson Hopkins. Now, Bryson Hopkins is a little different because last year was his rookie year, and I believe he got 2 offensive snaps the whole year, and he didn't get any preseason time. So I feel like we need to be a little bit more understanding with Bryson Hopkins. I don't know if the Rams will be. They brought in Jacob Harris and instantly has had more production than Hopkins has had preseason, regular season, what have you. But you have to keep in mind, Bryson Hopkins played a different role was not flexed out wide like Jacob Harris was, which is really intriguing to me because I looked at Bryson Hopkins as more of a receiving centric tight end, not really a guy that was going to, come in and just blow the doors off as a blocker. But apparently the Rams want to mold him into a blocker. He played about 30-something snaps, in line. And to me, that says a lot about how, his usage will end up being. Now, the question remains with Hopkins, of course, is he going to make the roster this year? When you have, of course, Tyler Higbee and Jacob Harris and Johnny Munt, Kendall Blanton, it's really hard to gauge whether or not the Rams will keep 4 or 5 tight ends or they'll just keep 3. And if they just keep 3, there's no way Hopkins is making the roster. So it's going to be tough, especially, with COVID times and everything. Keeping 53 men on a roster seems ridiculous, but I won't get too far into that. But yeah, I do not really like the way things are looking for young Bryson Hopkins in his second season. And I'm not going to say he's going to get cut, but it's not looking all that great. He's got 2 more preseason games to show us, what he can do. But I am a little concerned, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, in Bryson Hopkins in making this roster and having a role that I thought he was going to have. So that's why I will say about those 2. I think if I had to talk about a guy that was safer, it would probably be Bobby Evans, but he's really trending down rapidly, so I don't even know if I would say that. But we'll see. This people forget, just because you have a 4th-round pick and a 3rd-round pick, it does not mean that they automatically make the roster. And, I think when you're looking at Bobby Evans, you're hoping to see some serious contributions and, potentially taking that next step. And, I mean, with Bobby Evans playing in preseason, it tells me that, and I could be wrong here, maybe we'll never know, but it certainly makes it sound like Brian Allen is playing center more because Bobby Evans can't play right guard and start at right guard, more than it is about Brian Allen taking over and just absolutely dominating. So that does say a lot. To have Corbett playing right guard over Evans, he's the only player that lost his job, so to speak. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but I definitely wouldn't want to be either of those 2. And like the way you worded it, skating on thin ice, that's exactly how I would put it. They are skating on thin ice. They don't want to fall and drown, under the cracks of the ice, but, it's getting to that point where it's put up or shut up time. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back after a word from our sponsors. Life is back on sports bettors, and BetUS has your NBA, NHL, UFC, PGA, and yes, NFL betting lines up on their 27th year and live betting on all of it. Log into BetUS, that is BETUS.com, or call 800-792-3887. That's 800-79-BETUS. BetUS for 125% bonuses with promo code RAMS125. Customer service pros are ready to get your phone, social, and online sports betting kickoff started now. Play with the proven mainstay in the industry, BetUS. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. Ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. That has just taken off in not only the USA, but Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your whole solar system in. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, this spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your body, balls, butt, and even your anus. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. Thanks to our advanced skin-safe technology, the Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor and a new multifunction on and off switch that can engage a travel lock and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight you can turn on and off when needed for a more precise shave throughout your travels across the universe. The Performance 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having a little astronaut to chop your worst weeds up the top of your nose and your ears. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Don't forget about the crop preserver, ball deodorant, and the crop reviver to help your little planets be on their A-game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Abort hairy balls, Buzz Lightyear that Woody with Manscaped. All right, we're back here, the second half of this show. Thank you to our sponsors, as always, BetUS and Manscaped. But also, I'm going to throw something your way. If you like fantasy football and you like it so much, but you don't have time to manage it. And what I mean by that is you don't have time to do waiver claims. You don't have time to beat your buddy in picking up a player or dropping a player. You don't have time for the trades. You just want to be left alone and just see the results at the end of the year. Well, you, my friend, probably want Best Ball Fantasy. And Best Ball Fantasy can be played over at, I don't know if you ever heard of it before, but you should have. It's called Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy, if you use the promo code DTR, you will get $25 in bonus cash on your first deposit of at least $10. Figured I'd mention that because I haven't really been, and it's awesome, and I just absolutely love the product. I love the app. Highly recommend it. So let's get into Chantry Star over on YouTube. Big fan of Chantry. Super supporter over on my YouTube channel. Should I be worried about kicking going 0-2? It's a good question. Should you be worried? Well, one of the guys was cut, in Austin McGinnis. Whether he comes back on the practice squad or not remains to be seen. The other guy that missed it was the guy that only missed 2 kicks last year, in Matt Gay. I'm not worried about Matt Gay at all. Matt Gay will make the roster. He has won the job by all accounts. And I'd just rather have him get it out right now, Chantry, to be honest with you. Get all, the nooks and, all those little, kinks. Like, just get them out now. Miss all the field goals you want in preseason when it doesn't matter. Do not miss them in the game. So we'll see. But I'm not too worried, especially small sample size like that. Henry Ford over on YouTube, another OG supporter. If Bryson Hopkins doesn't show anything the next 2 preseason games, do you think the Rams will cut him? Especially with how deep we are with players with high potential this year, I think he can be a surprise cut. I personally think McVay doesn't start him because he has trouble with the playbook. Second play on the first drive, the Chargers was a penalty on Hopkins. I don't know if anyone noticed, but before halftime we had the ball, called a quarterback kneel, and Hopkins lined up in the wrong spot. Quarterback had to direct him, starting to worry for Brycen, would rather cut him and secure a Perkins or a Lawler. So this, again, we're going back to the Hopkins thing, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Big name guy, and if you follow my content, then I've been, hyping him up. So I kind of feel like I let you guys down, or maybe Hopkins let us down. I don't know. But either way, it's one of those weird circumstances where there's just not enough information out there to know. I remember asking Jordan Rodrigo what was going on with him, and she said he's not really doing anything wrong. He's just kind of doing his job. He's not doing anything above and beyond, so to speak, that would garner that media, outpour and everything. But that was last year. I haven't really heard anything this year. I think the thing is, Hopkins, you made some really compelling points here with him lining up in the wrong spot. I guess maybe it might have been a little delusional for me to hope maybe that, Bryson Hopkins was being kind of utilized in a way that he wasn't being shown off to everybody, and maybe he was their secret weapon. Maybe that was it. But, at the same time, it could be a playbook issue, and we've seen that before. Tavon Austin struggled with that. Players struggle. It does happen. Not everybody can just pick up a playbook and understand it. And Hopkins, again, was more of a wide receiver, a big wide receiver receiving tight end This is why I'm surprised the way they're using him. So I don't know what's going on with him. But like you kind of alluded to, the preseason games are going to be huge. And basically, if Bryson Hopkins doesn't show anything in the next 2 preseason games, do you think the Rams will cut him? Is the question that everyone will be asking. And it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of cuts, and they're going to have to be methodical in their approach because, like I've said before, and I'll say it again, when you lose all of those coaches to different teams, those coaches still have players that they like on your team. When they go to other teams, they have more freedom, especially a guy like an OC, as we call him, the offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron over in Seattle. Andy Dickerson over in Seattle, now originally the assistant offensive line coach with the Rams. He is the offensive line coach with the Rams, I believe running game coordinator as well. So the point that I'm making here is that Andy Dickerson had been in the building for a minute, and so did Shane Waldron. Both of them have seen the offense. They've seen guys like Koski, and they've seen guys like Perkins, and they've seen guys like Tristan Jackson and Xavier Jones. Now, Tristan Jackson, I think, makes the roster. I think he's nearly a lock now with the chronic injury. I think Xavier Jones is going to make the roster pretty obviously. He's the number 2 running back. But Perkins is a little bit on the outside looking in. We'll see if he does. But this is why I keep saying they need to be methodical, because if they cut Perkins, I have no doubts that Seattle goes and picks him up. And just like, they're going to end up cutting a guy like Koski, and he's going to potentially make a Seattle Seahawks roster that, lost some guys on their offensive side, dealing with, an injury to their wide receiver. I definitely think that could be the case. So they have to be methodical in that approach. And the same thing goes with, cutting Bryson Hopkins. You might not be able to get him back on the practice squad, so they need to make sure they know. But it's going to be tough. It is not going to be an easy cut down. Again, I do not know why the 53-man roster is still the 53-man roster. It seems ridiculous. They should have expanded it to at least 55, if not 60 or 65 players. I don't really see the drawback if you're going to have these healthy scratches that are mandatory and certain guys you can't dress for the game. I don't see why capping it at 53 makes any sort of difference or makes any sort of sense, because I really just don't think it does. But you also mentioned Lawler, Henry, and I'll say this. Lawler's already made the roster. He is good to go. He is going to be the backup to Leonard Floyd on his side of the defense, but I also think that he has a chance to start opposite of Leonard Floyd. We will see with Justin Hollins, but I definitely think that he is a lock to make this roster, especially out of his performance, but his camp especially. I think they've been really talking him up. Jordan Rodriguez said he's having a great camp. I believe her, so obviously that game speaks for itself. He's not going anywhere, so it would be probably to secure a Perkins, you might have to let go of a Hopkins. We'll see. Moving on, PPV Fire God on YouTube. Do you think the Rams go overly conservative in the preseason? I mean, I understand resting the starters, but they basically rested too deep. This is an interesting question because I kind of agree with what you're getting at here, PPV. The reason for it is I don't think a guy like David Long should be sitting. I think that guy should be getting reps. I don't know if he was hurt or not. He shouldn't be sitting. Dante Dion shouldn't be sitting. Those guys should not be sitting, okay? If you're not injured and you're not a starter or an impact backup, you should not be sitting. So Greg Gaines, to me, should be playing. Maybe I'm wrong for thinking that. Joseph Noteboom, you could argue. I mean, he's had some pretty good reps at left tackle. I'm fine with him not playing, but Greg Gaines doesn't get an opportunity really because of who's in front of him. You have Sebastian Joseph Day, one of the best nose tackles in football, A'Shawn Robinson, Aaron Donald. He doesn't get to see the field a ton. I would absolutely like to see more of Greg Gaines getting those reps, needed reps. I definitely want to see more of Okoronkwo. I would want to see Lewis. I mean, these guys need to be playing. Sitting them out doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. I think the guys that really don't have a ton of reps under their belt, it's like I would definitely be playing them. But like guys like Stafford, Deshaun Jackson, Aaron Donald, like those guys absolutely should not be seeing the field during preseason. So to a sense of what you're saying, I do think he's a little overly conservative in who he's playing. Going into the backups like that can be a slippery slope. I do think a lot of these guys do need that. Those repetitions and the live bullets. But for now, I'm okay with it. If as long as it prevents injury, whatever. But I do think that, more reps could benefit, a David Long who people really, including myself, just really aren't confident in as the third corner. And then the last one here is by Eric Litzer on YouTube. Morris is a good communicator, talks a lot, and is a player's coach, but can he call a defense that stops opposing offenses like Staley? Can he create brilliance in plays using the expert pieces he's been afforded to stop the offense? Does his comment, stats are for losers, cause any concern? And in parentheses, he struggled through the years in the stats and W department. Yeah, Eric, I agree with you. I think that there's definitely some merit there. I just think there's really not really a way for me to answer that because I have not seen it. I think that's something when you're talking about Raheem Morris, you have to wait until this season. We're not going to see anything, any crazy looks or anything like that. I know people are already concerned about preseason and how their defense looked bad, whatever, but they're running very vanilla type stuff. They're running vanilla type stuff in the joint practices. So you're not really going to get to see what's underneath, Morris's sleeve, what's in his sleeve until the season starts. And so I think that's how I would approach that. Because keep in mind, Brandon Staley didn't deal with a preseason last year. So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of looking at that and thinking, well, he obviously, it's going to be ridiculously hard to replicate last year's defense, but I just keep saying placeholder. A guy like Raheem Morris, I think obviously the Falcons played better when he took over as the interim head coach. I think at worst they're going to be a top 12 defense, but I have them as top 10 right now. I think that they're still going to be really good. And let's call it like it is. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey changed the course of how you play against a defense. When you have a guy that can get to the passer, you can get to the passer in no time, and then you have a guy that can shut down anybody in the league. It just makes it incredibly difficult. So, Eric, I wish I had more to tell you on that. It's a great question. We just don't have enough to know yet if he can have that type of year that Staley did. I mean, we're just not going to know until we've seen his defense. But that is going to do it for this mailbag. I appreciate you guys sending in your comments, questions, concerns. Always love the interaction. Very enjoyable. But that's going to do it for me. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. You can follow me over at JK Bogan and follow the Downtown Rams Twitter account at Downtown Rams. We're on all sorts of platforms as well, so be sure to do that. Be sure to subscribe, and if you can, rate the podcast. Let people know what you thought. That's going to do it for me. You guys take care. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bet with the 3-decade leader, BetUS. Join now for 125% bonus or 200% bonus with crypto using promo code RAMS125. And bet sports, casino, horses, pop culture, and more at betus.com. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DTR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and make sure to use code DTR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.